Internet amigos, let's listen to El Clowno. I just woke up out of big sleep in, feeling okay. No makeup. Oh, look at that double chin. Who's 55 years old? Brandon. I still want to be 26. Colonel McGregor, I have to say something. I wanted to focus on a couple of other things today, particularly the Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson. It's 8:45 a.m. It's Friday the 31st of October. Colonel McGregor, the never-ending run of experts who can't get a single thing right. Let's repeat what Colonel you know why he couldn't get in the Trump administration? Because he's a literal fucking drunk. All right, moron, incompetent ass, disliked, all the usual stuff. That was when Mattis and Pompeo were ending the multipolar world order, which more and more to me, the evidence is it's back on. A new version of the multipolar world order as Europe, the EU elites, the Hofjuden of Europe, okay, the central bankers, if they're not back in charge, they've decided to 50-50 it. This is bad. Now, I come from this simple premise. I do not blame anyone from Mexico, Central, or Mexico I do because your economy depends on the US. So if the US goes down, guess what happens to you, Mexico? You will be eating each other very quickly. But anyway, I leave that to you, Mexico. I won't be here in a couple of months. That'll be your business. Adios. No hard feelings. But Colonel McGregor is saying things which are exactly what the Hofjuden, that's what they are, the Hofjuden, the court Jews of Europe, the Gerhard Schroders, the Evelyn de Rothschilds, the Lord Jacob Rothschild, who I don't believe is even dead. I don't believe it. I don't believe that Lord Jacob himself, Emperor Palpatine, Kissinger, Amit Yoran, Yahud Zizapel, Zohar Zizapel, all my pin-up boys all died within 18 months of each other, like suddenly. Oh, they suddenly died. Bye. No need to look here. I don't believe it. I don't believe one of them's dead. They've got access to all sorts of stuff that you could actually pay for too if you've got the money. Go down to Puerto Rico, get your stem cells, get your baby's blood. We'd all like to know where the baby's blood literally comes from, but whatever. Probably China. With these things in mind, and it's all the rage, of course, what we have here is Colonel McGregor repeating the same stuff, which is withdraw from NATO, come back home, consolidate, he says. Yes, this was the KGB, GRU Soviet era plan, and what's the Soviet Union? That's Rothschild. Okay, get out of Eurasia. We have our boy. Remember, Hitler was to be in the United States of Europe, Stalin was to be North Asia, Mao was South Asia, and David Ben-Gurion would in the bunting cloverleaf map. Now get out, and they've just been... That was the plan. Hitler destroyed the plan. Goering was his handler. He was the link in with the Hofjuden, the royals of Europe, those old families of Europe. And Hitler effed them. It was an absolute disaster for the European people, the Russian people, the Slavic people, yes. But from the point of view of those elites, not a single... You ask the Hitler fans, can you name me one Jewish banker? Was it the Warburgs or... he imprisoned a Rothschild once. Can you find me the quote for that? Where was he imprisoned? In a camp or a chateau where the wine was poor? You know, you just ask a simple question of the Hitler groupies. Tell me one Jewish banker. Tell me the names of the two Berlin bankers that were originally funded him, both German Jewish bankers. Come on. Yeah, I didn't think so. See, the truth always stares you in the face. Just look slightly to the left or right, and there it is, staring you in the face. So with this in mind, with that disaster, they wanted to stabilize everything. The US would come in. They were to stabilize everything and form over time the multipolar world order. Only something happened. They wouldn't go. So with that in mind, they infiltrated in. They'd already been starting in 1919 especially, but even before that, the 1870s. And you had that silver master spiral. You had that communist infiltration. They were all Jews. Every freaking last one of them was Jewish, proclaiming the revolution. Oppenheimer, they gave the atom bomb to the Soviet Union. Again, they didn't want the US to dominate post-World War II. The US had all the technology, the production, could have taken over the damn world. But there was Eisenhower, the chief of staff, Marshall, was allowing the Soviet Union to form. Churchill was the one. See, this is the thing. We're looking for good guys and bad guys, white hats and black hats, and we're not. It's hard to find. But there was Churchill, and look, I do not like Churchill, the old drunk. I know all of David Irving's stuff. Please, I was watching it 20 years ago. Please stop. I used to write letters occasionally back and forth with him. Please stop. Please stop. All right. I do not like Churchill. However, I don't know all about Churchill. Churchill warned, we've got to go to Moscow. We have got to stop the formation of the Soviet Union. Well, McCarthy had a point about Eisenhower and Marshall, who seemed to be facilitating a lot of things and a lot of communists moving into the army. I mean, we really need a good look at it. We need a good look at it. See, I can't disentangle it. I'm just a guy on the damned internet. I can't disentangle this. This is where if you had real professional historians, this is their job. We'd have a Professor Anthony Sutton from the Hoover Institute. They're all long gone. Who are they now? Little whores. We have got a little bit. We've got Diane West with Red Thread and a few other books, and they're good books. But, Islam. No, Diane, tell us about the Jews, Jewish power. Please stop. But this is as close as we get. One thing we do agree on is that Joseph McCarthy is a freaking saint. It's not about right-wing, left-wing here. It's about infiltration of foreign influence of people who wish to bring down the United States. Now, why do I support the United States? I don't support you for any other reason, this one singular belief. I believe God ordained, the United States to carry forth a divine political document, a divinely inspired document. This would be the New World Order, to free the slaves. That people would be involved in politics. They would be, this is pure Bill Cooper here, kings and queens in their own little castles, and we would live as free men and free women on the land, living openly, speaking openly, able to sort out our differences through the institutions we set up, particularly in relation to a emerging high technology society, where just a few people could harness high technology to enslave a whole group of people. Very dangerous times. That is my belief. That may not be your belief, and I respect that. And I understand if you have been traumatized by the United States, I get it. But just remember that Russia and China are not your fucking friend. Okay? They're just more honest. Russia and China don't pretend to be a democracy, unlike America with the fake two-party system. Because Kissinger said, democracy or this limited republic is far too important to leave in the hands of amateurs. Well, you know what? You're completely correct. They are amateurs, degenerate pieces of dumb shit, drugged to the hilt, poisoned with food. We get it, but you never gave them a chance. What they wanted to do, the old Hofjuden, the old courtiers of Europe, what they wanted to do, when they saw this emerging notion of freedom, what the hell? Now, some of them are ideologically driven. They truly believe that does not work. We are a hierarchical society. The wolf pack has an alpha wolf and a male, alpha female. We always have a king and a queen. There's always a hierarchy. There is no democracy in heaven. There's no democracy in heaven, and there should be no democracy on earth. That is not the heavenly order. Okay? The heavenly order is king, queen, alpha female, alpha male, and it goes down. And you have the elite who are highly intelligent, who ideally in the days of kings and queens would fight battles and prove themselves in battle and be willing to die for their country and die for their people. Of course, we don't have that now. They're just a bunch of coke-snorting, inbred, drugged up pieces of filthy, stinking, pus-ridden shit. All right, so just forget that one, please. We're not having that. Now, you see in the movie Kingsman, Guy Ritchie, one of my favorite directors, Layer Cake, one of my favorite movies, you see the propaganda. They're great movies, but pure propaganda, which is where the Swedes and the wind, the street boy from England marries into the Swedish royals, like pure propaganda, and we need a private intelligence network. I mean, I do love those movies, but it's pure propaganda. You can see what they're doing with them. That is they want to return to that, and that is where we are returning right now. It's clear that whatever Madison Pompeo were up to with Skull and Bones is not working, and no one can move, so they're just going to do a deal now. It's too difficult. It's too difficult because it's the American military. Everything's just too corrupt. It's just too corrupt at the top unless there is a massive military coup. There has to be a grassroots military coup in the United States to truly restore the republic. Not sure how you do that, not sure how practical that is, but it's clearly over to me. So the Hofjuden, those European elites who believe in Julius Evola, sacred tradition is their Bible, Carl Jung, where Jung says the great danger isn't volcanoes and being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. The great danger is psychic epidemics. Psychic epidemics, where people you get vast movements of the collective unconscious. And then you have wars. I mean, Jung was brilliant in so many ways and also so damn stupid. Never did the word conspiracy cross his lips. Like, these were natural events. These aren't natural events. These were triggered by the new inbook of psychology, the new science, where they're manipulating whole peoples. Tavistock, good old Adolf, where he received his training with Goebbels and Goering and Himmler. The incredible Nuremberg night marches, all carefully choreographed. This is where Carl Jung is a piece of dickheadedness. Like, he's so stupid, he misses up, but he's still gold. You got to read it, right? You've got to take the good from what people are, accept their limitations. I believe he was sincere, but his thing was, he is the golden child for these elites. Carl Gustav Jung. Psychic epidemics. Yeah, instigated by the same people Jung used to hang around with. In fact, Jung's very close friend and head of the Jung Society in Germany was Hermann Goering's brother. So anyway, these are things you should read, because Jung will come forth more and more. It's like Jung, J-U-N-G, Carl Gustav Jung, Swiss psychoanalyst. Very important to understand, all right? He's not evil, very important writings, but you understand how these things get misabused, abused, and people take what they want out of it. So you have these Hofjuden who believe ideologically, many of them sincerely, that there has to be an elite, there has to be a crown and a commons, and you look after the people. British paratrooper Bernard Tandy, World War II, would tell me the difference between the British Army and the American Army. Now, the American Army was always well equipped. Like, they had everything. Like, the best uniforms, equipment, endless supplies of everything. But he said they were treated like shit. Like, the British and the Germans had the same system, where you got the men from their villages, from their same villages. You got them so they had group cohesion, and you wouldn't replace them directly. You would wait until they were down to 70% fighting, like 30% casualties, killed and wounded. Then you would withdraw them out. You would let them rest, recuperate, bond. You would put the new people in. You would give them time to adapt and be brought into the pack, brought into the unit. And they had a very humane system, and officers were meant to look after their men. Officers were severely rebuked and punished if they didn't look after their men or abused their men. It was very paternalistic, but that's how the British saw it. The American system, they didn't give a shit. It was a factory production line. You never were pulled out of the battle. You were just replaced individuals at a time. There was no humaneness to how it was done. It was just very much a scientifically crafted production mind. And that's the difference between the British European system, culture and tradition. And then you go back to Milo Yiannopoulos on Tim Pool talking about the crown. I understand. So a lot of these people aren't just power-hungry madmen, looking to drink the baby's blood of the peasants. These are ideologically driven, many of them. It's not just about money. It's about, no, this is the natural order. I don't believe that for a fucking second. We have a new world order coming into view, and we've come to free the slaves. You don't sit there and tell me you know who Jesus is when you fail to teach his teachings, and you fail to get down to the very core of a man riding on a donkey while you live in a fucking castle and fly around in a private jet. So don't put Jesus on your sleeve, you piece of shit. You'll be the first to fucking hang from the tree. So with these things in mind, a new world order is coming whether we like it or not. The question is how many people will die and how long will it take? But it is coming. I believe America has a divinely inspired document, and his job is to spread the revolution. That is my belief. And that should spread it to Colombia, and it should spread it to Venezuela. All right? And free the people, build the middle class, and make sure the degenerate, pus-ridden parasites don't get in there and start corrupting the youth. They say, look, we give you freedom and you become degenerate. No, we took freedom and then you infiltrated and put every degenerate piece of shit you could into the popular culture and spread it like wildfire. Then you called it freedom. Particularly in the United States, you poisoned them. You're doing everything disgusting under the sun. And that's where we are now. So while I completely understand a large segment of the world's population want the US to F off, why don't you say the same about Russia and China? They are not your saviors. Amazingly, America's completely evil, and yet you'll gladly run up and side with Russia and China. Who do you want to hang out with? The only thing I like about Russia and China, they don't pretend to be a democracy. That's what I like about Russia and China. And America just will not clean itself up. It's still just writhing in pus. It's an interesting time. Americans, I'm in a very vulnerable position. You've got a lot of support. I got nothing. I go back to Australia, I'll be arrested, and I am being arrested. I will fight to the fucking death, literally. So I say these things from the comfort of a bed with a nice view, and I know I'm fucked. But no, I don't care about it. But I don't speak from a casual point of view. I know exactly where things are heading. The bottom line is we don't know exactly what's going on, although I'm getting a fairly good idea. I just know that Tucker Carlson running around preaching a Christian theocracy with his little closet gay boy, who's not really a closet gay boy. Nick Fuentes is openly gay. I think we should realise that while he gives advice to the youth, of course. You know, it's like watching Hitler's Rise again. You know, they're all weirdo whack jobs. He had a little midget driver who had to have blocks under his seat and his feet to reach the pedals. It was a fucking circus. Look at Himmler, the Ubermensch. Look at him. I mean, look at Goebbels, for crying out loud. Look at him. It's a little circus of little men, little peepees, all given advice. None of them even been laid, for crying out loud. Weirdos, whack jobs. I mean, you know, and we're still talking left versus right politics. I mean, what does that tell you? Have you ever heard a word come out of Douglas McGregor's mouth that makes any sense at all? Remember, Putin was going to be in Paris. You better watch out. He said, you better watch out. Putin's coming. Yeah, what, on golf carts, electric scooters, donkeys? You see the absurdity of this old drunken fool who just wants to be relevant, running around? Our daddy's making any money of it all. He's just sad, retired on his military pension, and he wants someone to talk to him. Dirty old dickhead man. Look at it. Oh, let's withdraw. No, you got to clean out the parasite from within, and we don't mean Jews specifically. We know who they are. They've openly proclaimed themselves. What the fuck is OA? AOC has openly demanded open borders along with Biden and all of them. Do you know what the word treason means? Let's open the borders. Let 10 million undocumented. Now, if you did it for demographics, you'd say, well, we kind of want to open the borders. Let's have mass migration. Maybe you don't agree with it, obviously, but from a purely scientific demographic point of view, you need it. You may not like it, but you need it. So how would you do it out of desperation? It's a desperate move by America. They're getting ready for a war of kinds. You would have put the South on the border with Guatemala, right? In the South, you would have put giant camps, right? You would have poured resources into the region to also help the local Mexicans in the South who are very poor, hardly any industry. And you would have had health clinics and everything, and you would have put them in giant camps. Spent billions of dollars setting them up there instead of doing it up in the US. But I guess that helped boost the economy, like the Pentagon budget. And then you would have given them a free phone if they didn't have one, and let them chat and talk on the phone, which you were watching and feeding into data analytics. You could have psychologically profiled every single person that was in there, fed them, got them a bit healthy, checked them out medically, and then brought in those you wanted. Just plucked out the ones you want, psychological profile. And you could have done it in an orderly fashion. Assuming a lot of you would have said, no, we don't even want that. Well, okay, I get it, but I'm just telling you, demographics is destiny, and you've got a big problem. I mean, Canada's got a 10 times bigger problem. Mexico's sitting pretty but getting a bit cocky, and they're about to find out. And it's like, I tried so hard to warn my Mexican friends, please. And they're adamant they're gonna bring down the US. Oh yeah, there's a large segment of the Mexican, we're gonna bring down the US. Multipolar world, they don't know what the multipolar world order is, but that's what they're pushing with their Russians and Chinese friends and Chinese investors and French investors, or the French, right in here stirring up trouble with Swedes as well. And of course the UK will be in here as well, stirring up the trouble. So America, until you can name the enemy, and it's not the left-wing lunatics, they're mentally ill, they need to be put in camps for their mental safety, clearly they're mentally ill. But you've also got a bunch of closet, weird, bisexual, transgender, porn-loving half-wits. It's Nazi Germany, 1930s. You know, with Ernst Röhm with the brown shorts, and he's doing little boys in his room, and they're all gay. Have you not noticed? They're all gay. They're all fucking gay. They've all found Jesus. Come on. I'm telling you now, it's the 1930s. That's fascinating to watch from my purely ice-cold, detached point of view with my Aquarius rising. My hands are in there, I just give up. I completely give up. I just care anymore. But let's watch a bitch more of this old fucking drunk clown. Colonel McGregor. It's just, nobody's got a memory. Look at gold is taking over the US dollar, he says. Really, gold's taking over as the reserve currency. Let me tell you the reserve currency, bitch. The US 5th and 6th Fleet. I mean, the US is the most power. You cannot understand its power. Right? Oh, and of course the Israelis are coming out now. So yeah, we've backdoored everyone. So let's see. So if we'll listen a bit more, but I just want to tell you one thing. The most important thing I'm watching for right now, most important thing. And just remember Maduro in Venezuela, he's begging America, please, please don't attack me. It's like Iran. War with Iran. What war with Iran? How does waging war, how can Iran wage war on the beast? This is a beast. What's it going to do? They ain't going door to door with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. That's not happening. You wouldn't want to go door to door with them. Trust me, all right? That's not happening. The US just sits at 40,000 feet and takes out all your infrastructure, or it does cyber attacks. Everything Iran has is backdoored. Everything. When they're shaking a fist, theatrics, pure theatrics. They're terrified. They're please, Maduro, please. Please, 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 please. All right, it's fucking pure. They are terrified. Terrified. They are literally pissing their pants. And there's McGregor. Whoa, going to war. What does going to war mean? Listen, if the US removes itself from Central and South America, what do you think is going to happen? China, UK, France, Germany, and Russia will move in. Oh, but that's okay, Colonel McGregor. Are we correct? Oh, that's fine. See, until you understand the parasite within, the EU parasite, the hoofed and courtiers of Europe, the old families of Europe, until we can talk that talk to understand, until someone can articulate in the United States, look, you got to understand, my point of view is simple. Divine right. I believe the US has a divine right to rule the whole fucking planet if it follows the Constitution. You can't follow it if large segment of your population are drugged up, miserable, degenerate pieces of shit, or from third world countries who don't care. They do not care. They are just happy. My kids are safe. My kids are not being kidnapped. They're all traumatized, the vast majority, whether they know it or not. You cannot do it with a population like that. I mean, you only need 10, 15% in terms of the managerial class. But you need a rapid 20-year program. But no one's telling us the program. No one's saying, look, there's going to be some ups and downs. I guess somebody's got to say, we have a divine right to rule. People are not going to like to hear that. And you can say, but that's okay. And I heard this mentioned, we'll bypass you. Great. But what are you going to do when, have you got to deal with Belgium and the Netherlands? Because that's where the US high tech is based. It's not in Phoenix, Arizona. The US high tech base, R&D, is based in Belgium and the Netherlands. Are you going to tell the people that? Is the DoD going to say that's fine? So there's some big question marks in this little thing, and it can only end in war. There's going to be a war of some kind. Some kind. Okay? It's not going to be with Russia. It's not going to be nuclear weapons, though. I've always suspected they'll end the Ukraine war with a tactical nuke just for show. And then they'll build a monument. A couple of French brothers will happen to be there with an Inspire 3 8K drone to capture the footage for posterity, and they'll build a monument. It's because it's all theatrics. That doesn't mean it's safe. Doesn't mean World War III couldn't start. But I've heard this bullshit before, all right? It's a weapon to scare people. Russia is a third world drunken shithole. I'm not happy about that. I want the Slavic people to be free. They have suffered so much. It's a backward third world shithole that can't even take over Ukraine. Okay? So let's stop it. It's going into battle on donkeys and golf carts and motorbikes. Have you seen pictures of the soldiers they're sending in? They're going about Ukraine's old soldiers. Have you seen what's going into battle with the Russians? This is cruelty. Absolute cruelty. I want to see Russians doing well with it. I want to see America take its divine role of freeing the people from this disgusting inbred parasite once and for all. I don't want no kings. I don't want no queens. However, you could possibly set up a place, be it England or Europe, where you can have that system if you want it. If that's what you want. A retirement village. And maybe when we all get old from the high tension dynamics of America where all this amazing shit's happening, maybe we want to retire, we all go to Europe or something. I don't know. But we need places where people can go to be themselves, shared values. But anyone calling for a white Christian theocracy clearly have not read their constitution and are clearly all Hitler fans. They're all rehabilitating Hitler. All right. What would the first thing Adolf Hitler would do? He'd end free speech, tear up the Constitution, and instigate what? A centralized command and control. But they all seem so keen to rehabilitate Hitler. So keen. And they're all over the internet. What does it tell you? So it's an interesting time. Let's quickly watch this halfway.
We have a lot of frivolous theatrics in
True.
Washington that passes for diplomacy and policy. We have a president.
On that, it's not, I get it, but a lot of it is to unsettle people. That's the plan. And then you bring order in the final year. You're only a year in America. You got 2 more years of ups and downs. Then in the final year, they'll bring out the goodies. Don't worry.
Know that I like the president personally, always have. But everything is
No, he
about
doesn't.
theatrics and optics
Nobody
and
does.
appearances. And now we have the Prime Minister of Japan, who just made wonderful deals for Japan with us, by the way. Japan is going to continue to buy oil and gas from Russia. There will be no change in that. Japan.
True, but Japan already sold its soul a long time to America, like in the first Trump term. In fact, they were the first lined up to sign the deals. That's already been done. Japan's not stupid. They're also a very valuable ally, very smart, very organized people, obviously, but no access to resources. But the whole point of this bullshit slaughter in Ukraine and Russia is the fact that they're still selling oil and gas all over the world. While they go, sanctions, sanctions, what sanctions? And everyone goes, oh, look how strong and brave Russia and Putin are. These sanctions aren't working, because there are no fucking sanctions. They already made the agreements behind closed doors. The revolution was not televised, and it didn't involve Donald fucking Trump. They go in, they make the deal. They tell Russia, this is how it's going to be. Russia's going to kill off a large segment of its useless eaters, as they would say, which they are. It's tragic, and I mean it from my heart. I've watched the Slavs suffer since I was very young, when I first got into the martyrs of the church and read Solzhenitsyn and all the rest. All the rest. Eastern Rite Catholics in the Ukraine. All of that stuff. I'm a bit upset just thinking about the shit they have been through from the fucking Bolshevik Revolution. Where'd they all come from? New York. First we take Manhattan, then we take Berlin. You know what I'm saying? They have no people. And just as they're starting to smile in photos, just as they're starting to feel a bit of a better life, here we go again. Vladimir Putin is not a Russian nationalist. He's a globalist put in by Yevgeny Primakov and the Primakov Doctrine and Heinz Kissinger, which is one step away from Lord Jacob Rothschild himself. Gerhard Schroeder is besties with Evelyn the Rothschild. And that is literally Vladimir Putin and his double. He's definitely got a body double. Vladimir Putin's best friend, Gerhard Schroeder. Again, I've shown you picture after picture, article after article, and everyone's still confused. And there's McGregor. Oh, Putin's a great man and a Russian nationalist. No, General Lebed was murdered in 2002 because he was the Russian nationalist, sick to death of Putin and his oligarch friends. Then they had to put the big show on in 2007 and bring up the oligarchs and wave his pen at them and put them in their place. And they just put a bunch of new oligarchs in. And he's still working for the same people. It's so obvious, but here we are with Colonel McGregor. So this is arranged. Let's cut off our population, and I do believe we'll see a big, there might be a large expulsion from the US and Israel itself of the Russian settler movement and the Hasidim, all of the Hasidim, not just Chabad Lubavitch. A lot of people said from day one, they're killing the Slavs to put all the unwanted Jews in there. And I said, no, that's a back end. I don't believe that's... But now I do believe, yeah, that is one of their top 3 priorities. They are making space for a bunch of half-wits. Because apparently they're so precious, they're not allowed to be dealt with. Put in camps, criminally indicted. The rates of sexual abuse, domestic violence are just through the roof in those communities. It's bad. The rates of sexual abuse... I mean, you have no fucking idea what goes on in those Hasidic communities. Seriously. You know what Jews talk about all day, including the Orthodox and Jewish communities? Do you think they talk about Holocaust numbers and the return of Hitler? Well, actually, they probably are now. Thanks, Tucker. You know they talk about all day? Drug abuse of their kids, the general degeneration, and, of course, domestic violence. And their kids marrying Catholics. That's what they talk about. That's probably changing now over to Holocaust Nazi stuff. Thank you, Tucker and Nick Fuentes. And this is the game for the transfer agreement, the new one. And we're going to get stuck in the same, look, I'm a single guy. I'm not afraid of death at all. How I die is important, but not dying is not important, although I am a bit scared because, got to be careful. Murdering people or taking someone's life because you're angry is not allowed. Sure, violent self-defense is allowed, but, spiritually, I would be concerned. I've seen the other side. It's beautiful. There's also another side. That'll be up to your belief system. But I have my belief system based on direct personal experience. It's not something you forget. Well, this was meant to be 5 minutes. Let's just keep going. Colonel McGregor, yeah, sanctions. What sanctions? See, this is instead of the US dominating, right? It can't. It's been backdoored. The amount of pus and criminality that's gone on, they've got so much dirt on each other. There are also many game theories that they're trying to draw in all the world's wealth into all the tax havens, all the drug money, and then they'll get up to something. I just know this. The US is so militarily powerful. Like, for instance, they could just close off the Suez Canal. What's Europe going to do? It will collapse in 5 minutes. There will be ramifications for America, but America will do better than most. So let's not understand who has the ultimate power here. So why is this negotiation going on? Because the Europeans are going, well, we'll drag you to hell as well, but how about you just let us run Europe? We'll run Russia for you with our boy Putin. We'll kill off his local population. We'll dump all the Hasidim and all the Russian settlers and all that. We'll kick them all out of Israel. You'll have your US base and control the data, America. We'll handle them over here for you. You still have us by the balls in terms of all this stuff. And that's the negotiation. So basically, the Slavic people don't get freed. They get backstabbed again. The European people and the UK get under the parasite. They're still stuck there under that. And so on. So we're back to America. What are you for? I mean, I understand Rome wasn't built in a day, and changing, 250 years of subversion and filth and depravity and degeneration is not going to be solved overnight, but you've got to come up with a coherent plan. You've got to come up and tell the people. You have to tell the people the plan. And so far we've got the closet gay guy, openly gay, dicky suck. I hear he hasn't done anal yet, but he's willing to experiment. Nick Fuentes, who hasn't even had sex with a woman, but he's giving dating advice. I'm sorry. At least you need to be in a physical relationship with a woman before you give any advice, Nick. I'm sorry. It's like, please. I actually feel a bit sorry for Nick Fuentes. I really do. It's like, you poor thing. His parents. Who are his parents? I want to know who his parents are. Give me everything on his parents. Because there's no way he got these ideas. They were, his parents have got to be in a lodge. He had to have been sitting around the lodge picking up all this stuff because he's a fine speaker and the lodge loves public speakers. There's just something very wrong with it all. And it's weird. Have you not noticed? They're all weird. Yeah, I mean, look at Mary Silver. She doesn't get a look in. Nope, she's too normal. She's way too fucking normal. No one's normal. Have you not noticed? They're all a bit quirky and weird and just creepy. Funny, that, isn't it?
Is going to invest more in the United States. We're already heavily invested here as it is. That's not a big deal. Although Toyota has since come back and said, we're not increasing our investment. Sorry, we didn't make that promise. But she gave Donald Trump the most expensive set of golf clubs in world history. They're beautiful, they're magnificent, and she promised that she would nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. And suddenly, President Trump says, this has been a big success. We are winning. So now he goes on to South Korea. I'm sure he'll get some similar treatment there. And oh, by the way, I see no evidence that India is going to stop buying oil and gas from Russia.
All true, but you do remember, like South Korea, shipbuilding. Who gave them that? Post-World War II. The United States built everyone back up. Did you notice that? Did you notice? Why wouldn't the US just dominate? Just dominate. But immediately, Eisenhower, Marshall, and that whole group, Roosevelt's crew coming into the highly compromised Truman, setting up all these East India Company institutions, all the think tanks grovel in like snakes. And the US was the enforcer of the multipolar world order, which they were setting up. How are you going to fix that? I just watched a little documentary by a guy who does airline pilot who does documentaries on aircraft, and I was watching a whole series on the P-47 Thunderbolt. I was a huge World War II buff, massive World War II. All I wanted to do was join the SAS and rescue fair maidens and slay dragons. That's what I was going to do. Then I ruined my knee playing football and 3 knee operations. I couldn't get in. I tried to swindle my way in the recruiting office at 18, 19, and my knee was, well, I maybe could have got in. They said osteoarthritis. It wasn't. It was osteochondritis, which was inflammation due to damage, but I was pretty fit, pretty good. But anyway, I accidentally opened my mouth. Everyone was confused and I didn't get in. Probably a good thing. It was a good thing. And during this time, anyway, P-47 Thunderbolts, fanatic. I had the world and warfare, all the collections, massive volumes. And my old man used to say, "Shame you can't do your maths when you can remember the takeoff weight of a BF-109 K4." You know, and I mean, I look at Powder on one of my fave channels. I thought, oh, I would have made a brilliant fucking analyst, something like that. But it wasn't meant to be. But, well, I kind of am in a way. My own little consultancy with you, my crew, as it were, because we've all got to have a crew. So I'm watching this, and the guy happens to mention, in fact, why don't I just quickly pop this up? So this is the invasion plan of Second World War. Okay, so Greg's airplanes is going to describe. I had no idea about this. That Churchill met Roosevelt in the Federal Reserve where they initially signed the plans for the invasion of Europe. How apt.
For a short history review. In May of 1943, Churchill and Roosevelt met for the Third Washington Conference, often called the Trident Conference. It was during this conference that the military leaders from the US and the UK met and planned out the cross-channel invasion that would take place on D-Day. Now, you might think that these meetings would have taken place in this building, the newly completed Pentagon, but in fact they took place here at the US Federal Reserve. I find it interesting that the invasion, called Operation Overlord, was planned at the Federal Reserve. I think some of you get what I'm putting down here. I'm not going to make a video on this because it's totally outside the scope of this channel, but it's a fascinating subject.
So there you go, the Trident paper. So that's all in official paperwork, and that's where they plan so much stuff in the Federal Reserve. That is very interesting. I'll be plugging that into Gemini AI. I'm getting a bit sick of Gemini AI, actually. It will call you a conspiracy theorist straight off. And I thought, how's this large language model going to work if you've clearly got a massive bias built into your AI stuff? You know, I fucking know how AI large language models work. I am not an expert. Obviously, I'm a tourist, but I intuitively understand. It will never work as long as you continue to do what you are doing by making it biased. You can do it in a way that it comes through without calling you a conspiracy theorist. Imagine a large language model that considers Chris Bollin a conspiracy theorist. Now, we know their large language model has got access to everything. And once you see what AI retail can do for you, then imagine what they have. And they've had that for 20, 30 years. Man, they had the mouse and Skype and video conferencing and the graphical user interface in 1972, for God's sake, before they released it via Xerox, and then they gave it to Steve Jobs. See, that's how it happens, through ARPA, DARPA, DOD, then they hand it out to one of their bitches, whether it's Zuckerberg or an Amazon or whatever. That's how the system works. The old Jason Society, all the lodge get together with their little friends.
Either. And now we have this ceasefire that was declared a few weeks ago that's just completely disastrously violated by the Israelis. And everybody says, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
So
that's business as usual, but they all have the US permission to do it. They're going to cleanse the Gaza Strip. What don't you get about that? This is about extending news cycles. They already know they blew up 2 tall buildings, right, in New York, blew up the Pentagon with a bullshit story that was completely eviscerated by the grassroots by 2007. Everybody was named. And what's this effer? What's this effer going to tell you? This Colonel Douglas McGregor. He's going to tell you that Al-Qaeda and 19 Arab hijackers. What did I just hear Cenk and Anna on the Young Turks say? Yeah, we know Al-Qaeda did 9/11. Al-Qaeda did 9/11. Did you not notice this? You don't see. It's profound to me that our new, who will lead us to our bright shining destiny, will all tell you that 19 Arab hijackers did 9/11. And that is across the board. Don't tell me this is a loose riffraff of people who have kind of internalized values. Maybe they're scared. No, they have their fucking script. Every one of them's a fucking actor. They should be lined up against a fucking wall and fucking shot because you don't get the stakes yet. But you fucking will. These are delaying actions. Every last thing they do. They're doing a deal to F-U-C-K us all. And you will cheer as the Siddim are rounded up. You will cheer as a bud with their little forelocks are thrown into the backs and deported out. And you will fucking cheer. You will cheer. Beware these fucking whores. 20 years whores. They have seen the light and they are here to save us. This should be very, very obvious. And I'm superficially, it's a disaster. Something is telling me, and they always turn up when I'm at my lowest, all my little military contacts. Brendan, it's everywhere now. We're putting it everywhere. You know, one guy, good guy, supported me since I got back 2017. I don't want to say what he does at all, but, you know, he's been there, done that. And all his friends are the same sort of people, been there, done that. But I don't want to give you hope that I have some huge connection base into the military. That's not true. Have I been fucking contacted by some serious fucking people? Yeah, and all they've done is piss me off. Where are the hit teams, boys? Still waiting. Any day now. But they talk to serious people like retired generals, colonels in charge of amazing programs. They talk to them, man. They hand my videos around. But that's fine. We're not seeing the grand strategy be put out. All I see is Bannon getting more and more pissed off and more drunk. Anyway, let's let this clan go on 5 more minutes.
What are we dealing with? We're dealing with facades, illusions. And I think Venezuela is another illusion.
No.
Instead of doing exactly what you've suggested, turning inward, focusing here at home on what's important, bring the forces back.
Yeah, let's just abandon Central and South America. Smart move, Colonel McGregor.
We'll exercise some restraint now. We'll build more capability for the future. But there is no long-term planning.
You already have massive capability. What are you going to build?
We launched a tariff war. There's no stability in the tariff regime. It's driving
That's the plan. It's meant to drive everyone insane. Dickhead, it's called reordering. It's the heart of the deal, baby.
One crazy. They talk about the dollar as reserve currency. That's all shifting into pure gold now. Ask Nassim Taleb. Ask Ray Dalio. Ask anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Gold.
Ask all the usual half-wits who've never got a thing right in their lives, who've been saying the crash this year, 20 years, 30 years on, we'll still wait for the crash. 3 times a year, crash. The same fucking morons. Oh, they've crunched the numbers. How is gold going to be a reserve currency for the value of an economy? That's one thing Peter Zahn got right, one of the few things. Gold is not... gold is as worthless as paper currency. It's whatever you choose to enforce with contract power and the power to enforce a contract. I could take a shit on this floor and I'll break up that dried shit into specks. And with the power of enforcement, because I own the US 5th and 6th Fleet and I run and all the Straits of Malacca and the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal, I run it all. Then you will accept my specks of shit as fucking currency and you will love it. Gold is as fucking worthless as anything else except in its industrial uses. It's worthless. But you just keep telling yourself it's worth all this. Let me tell you, if you are in gold because you feel the end is near, I strongly suggest you trade your gold in for cash. Take that cash, get an arms cache, get 1 million rounds of 223, 308 and whatever else you want to get. Arm yourself to the teeth, build bunkers, gardens, build a community with people if you can afford to pile up gold. And that will be worth more to you than any lump of useless fucking metal. And you get a big storehouse with your friends and you hide it and you arm yourself to the teeth and you defend your territory and you await the zombie apocalypse. I would respect that advice. The thought that gold, another worthless metal, there's only 2 ways this goes. A transition into the domination of the United States and the Bank of International Settlements being placed in the United States directly to run everything. Okay? Or you will see a descent into chaos. Either way, gold will be as useless as ever. What are you going to do? Oh, so you got all this gold. Well, you got to sell it sooner or later to buy shit, to buy a house, to buy food, to buy water, because you'll be buying water. All right? So you got to turn it into cash sooner or later. What, gold goes forever up into infinity? What does it crash? As you've just seen in China. Just crashed. You know, there's just one group. Those who are in, as George Carlyle would say. You're either in or you're retail. I've met people who are on the fringes of wholesale and they fucking mock the retail morons. These people shift a bit of shit around over one day and make $500,000 in a day. In a fucking day. And these people are only on the fringes of the wholesale. This fucker's not even retail smart. And those people you see on the internet are fucking disgusting morons who can't make money. They put themselves up there to get suckers to give them money. And I'll say this again and again. I've seen one person online who I would give the time of day to, and that's Tom Luongo. Not just because of what he says, but how he says it. He mocks these bullshit artists. You need to mock these people. If you're to the point where you're investing in silver and gold, why don't I suggest you go and invest in a property and find friends and family? Start investing in solar. You can't eat gold. And if you truly believe a form of martial law and Israeli rationing apps are coming on your damn phone, I'm telling you now, gold's going to be confiscated. Suckers. And Tucker Carlson's got, what? 1.48 million? I thought he had more than that. Or is that a separate one? Might be a smaller channel for clips. You know, I keep saying to people who speak the truth, you're not going to find them. You're not going to find them. They're not going to be shared. Right? It's not happening. You know, as Steve Bannon said, Steve Bannon comes right out and says, there's no free speech on fucking X. He said, Elon can make you a rock star. He will bury you so deep in the basement. I mean, this is Steve Bannon. And still, oh, thank you, free speech. Thank you, Elon Musk, for free speech. I mean, this is the post-truth world. I love that word, post-truth. What does it mean? It just means the fucking lie, and they just fucking lie, and they don't even care if it's remotely related to the truth. Everyone is fucking lying. Oh, thank you, Elon, for giving us a voice. Fuck. I couldn't even get on fucking X. They continuously kick me off and call me a bot because my fucking debit cards wouldn't work. It's a fucking joke. Look at Mary Silver. But we were told this years ago, 10 years ago, by Adam Curtis in mainstream multi-millions probably he's got total 15 million views. And it just doesn't seem to change. We're going to sit you online and get you clicking. I'm so angry. Click. Oh, I'm going to express myself on my social media. Oh, it's just fucking retards. And anyone who gets up and says, we have to make grassroots political action. Silence. There's crickets. Can't hear them. You know, Whitney Webb can be cross-promoted throughout the fucking land. You know, her reputation is just so shit now. People are coming out saying she's a fucking idiot. The people she's backed, that whole Epstein thing, they're ripping her books apart. She can't get a fucking fact straight. The greatest journalist in the fucking world. It's a fucking joke. She will end up in abject fucking poverty, that woman. I guarantee you. A pariah. An absolute pariah. I know exactly who she works for. It's the same person as Kevin Barrett. The same person as Cynthia McKinney. Multipolar world order. They all work for fucking Kissinger and Associates. The dumbasses. She's Anna Montez. That's who Whitney Webb. Little rich kid, Richard Webb IV. Okay, little rich kid who goes down to Chile, meets her little lover down there. He's probably a GRU, KGB asset or whatever, or Cuban DJI, Cuba, for the revolution, Cuba. All right? And all these people are backed. You don't think the United States could just roll over fucking Cuba and take it over? United States isn't run by Pax Americana. It's not run by American nationalists, and we can debate whether it's run by them right now. Let's wind this up with this claim.
Is the new reserve currency. We're not even prepared for that. We're not paying attention to it. Let's bomb Venezuela.
Why not? You see Venezuela, Maduro is a fantastic. Is there any particular reason why people in Central and South America aren't allowed to have some form of moderate, middle class building democracy? Any reason why? And you do realize Maduro has been backed by the oil and gas industry out of the US. Chevron literally run his oil fields. But Chevron's not an American company. These people are globalists. These people answer to Rothschild. These people answer to the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. You seriously think anyone is shaking a fist at the United States who is not in terror? We saw it where, what's the name from Fox News is interviewing Trump about Iran. And Trump says, yeah, Iran called me, begging me not to attack them, begging me. That's the reality and the power of the United States, which it never is allowed to wield normally. Same as Iraq, all right, you don't agree with the invasion. I get it. But do you know that special forces had already organized everything months before the invasion? They were having fucking tea with the Iraqi Republican Guard generals. It was all arranged. And there would just be a reshuffling of the chairs. And who walked in? Paul Bremer, 2IC, Kissinger and Associates. We never talk, Whitney's not going to tell you about this. Maybe, 15 years later, she's going to cotton on and she'll be a genius and cross-promoted everywhere. So there you go. And they said, the Pentagon said, if you try to introduce democracy here, it is tribal, it is Sunni dominated with a large Shia population. Iran will come into the region. You will set the region on fire. You will create an insurgency. You will kill a lot of civilians and a lot of US soldiers. And Kissinger and Associates, Paul Bremer, the Tsar, and the little neocons. Remember the picture with Kissinger with George W. Bush saying organized foreign policy with a Jewish philosophy, Hannah Arendt, the inevitability of tragedy. You remember? They set the fucking place on fire deliberately. And in came Iran, who's working with German and Swiss bankers, which is the Hufjuden, which is Rothschild. You're not going to get that fucking narrative from anyone. Anybody. And I will continue to exist in obscurity, begging for a Mavic 4 Pro creator pack. So look, when they send me a letter, whose dick I got to suck, which tranny porn I have to watch, which degenerate drug-addicted behavior I have to take part in, you're not getting in, all right? You're not being let in the tent until you show you're a degenerate piece of shit like the rest of them. It's sitting and staring in the face. And here's the expert, Colonel Drunken McGregor, with the new Hitler Youth leader, freaking Tucker Carlson. Oh, Fox. Anyway, I got to get in there and finish that interview thing. It's actually quite a big job. I didn't realize how big it was. It's probably going to be about 2 hours long, and I want to give it chapters. So I better get busy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little rant. Sorry I didn't have my makeup on. My hair's a mess. But we'll talk again very soon. Look, through it all, I beg you, keep a sense of humor. I beg you. Nothing is going to completely collapse. Look, nothing is impossible. All right? Remember, you're dealing with a bunch of clowns half the time. But the US is all fucking powerful, just apart from all that backdooring of the critical infrastructure. Once you understand the primacy of industrial control chips that switch valves on and off, they just switch things on and off. And you understand there's Israel now bragging openly, and I'll have to do a video on that too. Jeez, I just get distracted because there's so much happening. But anyway, let's talk again soon. It's Friday, 31st of October. It's 9:39. Talk soon.